As a kid, there was nothing better than sitting on a little boat fishing with my dad and grandpa, or ice fishing in a small tent that blocked the cold wind and snow. I've always enjoyed fishing, mostly for the peaceful sunny afternoons, time spent with the people I love, and the incredible stories that are created. My fishing adventure began at the age of 5, when I caught one of my first fish in the summer of '96. It was so exciting to wrestle a 22-inch northern pike out of the water, and I was so proud for catching a bigger fish than my dad. Ice fishing was another adventure I braved winter after winter, ice shack or no ice shack. One winter, my dad and I decided to drive out on Lake Kempesca to drill a few holes in the ice. I shuffled over to a block of frozen minnows to snoop, but on the way back, I slipped on the frozen lake. No big deal, except my dad had not yet put the ice auger away, and it was inconveniently placed next to where I slipped. Once I stood up, blood started gushing out of my hand. Frantic, my dad shooed me in the blazer and rushed to the hospital, leaving our fishing equipment behind. After waiting for what seemed like forever, the doctor finally became available. My skin was peeled back on both sides and had to be sewn up by a man who could have easily retired 20 years sooner. His eyesight must have been failing, because I ended up with a thick, crooked scar on my right hand. The depressing part was, we didn't even end up catching any fish that day. My most recent adventure took place in Ontario, summer of 2011. My whole family piled into the truck and ventured north to meet up with my grandparents. We spent a week fishing and enjoying all the beauty Canada had to offer. My mom caught so many crazy things. A northern with a cleft lip, a clam, and a few 25-inch walleyes. Dad wasn't as lucky the whole trip, and my brother, Cade, caught 2 perch at once on 2 different occasions, along with a big slimy northern. Grandpa Dennis, the captain of our vessel, was able to catch a 32-inch northern. I started with an 18-inch walleye, moved up to a fat 25-inch walleye, and then got super lucky as our trip drew to a close. The boat was gliding along when all of a sudden I couldn't move my pole anymore. I called out snag to the captain so we could circle around and get it unhooked. After a while I felt a slight tug and realized I actually had a huge fish. It took a long time, pulling and reeling and pulling. My rod bent over the boat, daring to fly out of my hands and into the water. I wasn't giving up though, and my persistence pulled a monster to the surface. As I kept struggling, my dad grabbed a net while all my grandpa could do was repeat, "Holy shit." My dad barely managed to squeeze it in the net as he lugged it onto the boat. Never had I seen a fish so big in person, but I was ecstatic as I held up my 44-inch muskie for everyone to see. My grandpa told me that it takes 10,000 casts to catch one muskie, so I considered mine to be one lucky fish. Fishing will always be a part of my family, and it will never fail to bring us all together. I hope to take my own children fishing one day so that they can have the same adventures and make their own memories. Pictures may be worth 1,000 words, but they will never compare to the memory that is left behind. And I will never find the words to describe how I felt after successfully battling the fish of 10,000 casts.